Hey girl, welcome to my channel. If you clicked on this video, it's probably because you are feeling stuck in some type of way, whether in your relationship with God, your business, your relationship, or just life in general. You probably are feeling some type of stuck. And I get it. I'm here for you and I want to help you unstuck yourself. So stay along for this whole video and let's get into it. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Evie Faith. I am a full-time Christian content creator and entrepreneur, just really out here trying to walk in what God has called me to do each and every day. If you are new, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe and drop a comment so I know that you are new to the channel and I can connect with you. But I truly appreciate you being here and hope this message helps you today. If you are not new here, girl, welcome back. You already know how I roll. No nonsense, no fluff. Let's get into today's video. So today I want to get into this feeling of being stuck and how we are going to pull ourselves out of it. Now, as someone who has felt this feeling of being stuck in life, in business, in my walk with God, just in so many different ways before, I am really going to talk to you on a personal level here today because I get it. I understand the feeling. And once you get outside of this feeling of this stuckness and really just look at it from the outside in, you'll notice that it really wasn't as hard as you think. Now, don't click away. I'm going to tell you why here in a second. So first things first, this feeling of being stuck, where does it come from? Like, why do we all of a sudden go from feeling like we know the path to take, feeling like we're doing things right, feeling like everything's going well, to just this feeling of being stuck? Like you don't know what you're doing, you don't know which step to take, you don't know which direction to go, and just this feeling of confusion and this feeling of like, God, why are you not directing me anymore? If you have ever felt that, girl, stay for the whole video, okay? Because I certainly have. I want to get straight into pinpointing why we feel this feeling of being stuck. Now, there could be so many reasons of why we feel this, but I've kind of lumped it into a few categories to why we may be feeling this way. So number one is going to be fear. Fear could be the source of why you are feeling stuck. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of not feeling like you're good enough, fear of not succeeding. Just different fears can cause you to have this feeling of being stuck. You don't know which way to go because subconsciously you are fearful of any direction you take. You are fearful of the path that you should be going. You are fearful of fully stepping into something that God might have called you to do, or stepping out of somewhere that God has called you out of. Just different fears can cause you to feel stuck simply because you are battling with yourself on making that move that you're supposed to make. So girl, we're gonna stop this one right now, okay? Because fear is an attack of Satan. God did not give us a spirit of fear, a spirit of being timid. God gave us a spirit of power and of love and of sound mind. So all these fears and us going back and forth in our head and subconsciously just being fearful of taking that next step, that is a tool of the enemy. So that is the first reason you could be feeling this sense of being stuck, is because you are fearful of that next step. And I am here today to tell you, girl, it's time to step out of that fear. Do not let the enemy win in this tactic of trying to make you fearful of what's to come, especially if it's something that God has directed you in. If he is taking you to it, he will get you through it. Or if he has directed you out of something or directed you on a next step to take, then what's the point of sitting there being fearful of what's to come if you know he is the one directing you and guiding you in this next step to take? So fear is going to be that number one category of why we could be feeling this sense of being stuck. Now, number two is one that I feel like a lot of us do just on a daily, and that is doubt. Doubting what God has already called you to do. doubting your worth, doubting your abilities. It kind of ties in with that fear aspect, but just doubting that you are not good enough, doubting that what God told you, maybe he didn't really tell you. Like, God, did you really say that? Or am I just making that up in my head? Like, God, did you really tell me to leave this relationship? Or that doubt of something that God may have already confirmed in your heart, and now you're all of a sudden second guessing what he has told you to do. That will make you feel stuck, because you're just like, I don't know which way to go. I don't know what to do, because now I'm doubting what I already felt was the right move, what I already felt like God told me to do. I'm second guessing everything that he's already told me and I've already felt, because I'm just not sure now. So now you're just sitting there stuck in this because you are fearful, you are doubting, you are not moving the way that God has instructed you to move or told you to do. Once again, a tactic of the enemy to make you doubt, to make you fearful, to make you feel like you are not enough, to make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about, to make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. Those are all tactics of the enemy. God is not the author of confusion. So if you're feeling this confusion, this going back and forth of what to do, even though you may have already felt a nudge from the Holy Spirit, or you already heard God tell you something, and now you're second guessing, now you're fearful of what's to come, that is a tactic of the enemy to cause that confusion, to make you doubt God, to make you doubt your abilities in God. So fear and doubt, those are number 1 and 2. Number 3 is a big one, especially in this age of social media. Girl, number 3 is comparison. If you are spending more time scrolling and looking at someone else's life, looking at someone else do the things that you feel like you should be doing, or have the things that you feel like you should have, you are just sitting there comparing your journey to someone else's. If you've got that much time to sit there and compare, it sounds like you need to be making some moves in your own life, making the moves that God has told you to do, stepping into what God has called you into, instead of sitting there taking the time to doom scroll and compare your life to someone else's. One thing I always say is social media is a highlight reel of people's lives. Most people don't show what's truly going on in their life. Most people, you can't truly see what their relationship is with God. You can't see the journey that they're on. You can't see what's going on behind closed doors. So constantly comparing your life to someone's highlight reel will have you feeling stuck, because you just feel like you should be doing things differently. You feel like you should have certain things by now. Start to compare what you already know God has told you to do, or the gifts that he has given you. You start to compare yours to other people's. And that will have you constantly feeling stuck, constantly feeling like you are not good enough to step into what God has called you to do. And once again, I am here to shake that out of you, girl, because God has given us our own gifts, our own talents. God has a different path for each and every one of us. God has created us all for different purposes and different ways to bring people to his kingdom. And you are doing not only God, but yourself a disservice by not stepping into and not walking in what God has called you to do. Not looking at someone else's. What has he told you to do? What has he instructed of you? What gifts has he given you? If you are someone that is slightly triggered by this, or, comparison is something that you struggle with, then I highly suggest taking steps away from certain platforms if you're constantly comparing yourself, or unfollowing certain influencers or people if you feel yourself starting to compare. That's something that I have had to do, honestly, fairly recently, where I felt like I was starting to compare my walk with God, compare my ministry, compare my business, compare all these things to other people's. not knowing what their true walk with God is, just not knowing anything about these people, not knowing what journey they've been on, not knowing, just taking the time away from me developing my gifts and everything that God has called me into by sitting there just comparing myself to someone else's. And I quickly snapped out of it. I did end up taking like a follow break from these people just so I'm not triggered by that emotion of comparison. So I don't get into that feeling of being stuck or feeling like I'm not doing something right or I'm not doing enough or second guessing what God has already called me to do. So comparison is a big one. That is number 3 in the categories of why you can be feeling this sense of being stuck. And last but not least, number 4 is going to be perfectionism. Now this one I have dealt with quite a bit and honestly still deal with, of feeling like everything has to be perfect for me to walk in what God has called me to do. Feeling like everything needs to be in place, every little detail completed. I need to be completely ready, like just feeling like everything needs to be absolutely perfect before I step into what God has called me to do, or before I launch something in my business, or before I created my YouTube channel, or whatever the case may be. Feeling like everything needs to be perfect, I need to be perfect to really step into this. Once again, these tactics of the enemy, they're not always the obvious thing. It's the little things that can get us to second guess, to doubt, and to delay. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. So you waiting for the perfect moment, you waiting to feel like you're perfect, or waiting for something in your business to be perfect before you put it out there, or waiting on the perfect content, the perfect camera, the perfect background setting, waiting on everything to be perfect before you walk into what God has called you to do, that is delayed obedience, which is still disobedience. If God has called you to it, let him work. Let him work. It does not have to be perfect. Let him build and develop you in the process. You do not have to be perfect. And that can go back into that comparison. If you are watching people's content or watching people's businesses succeed or their YouTube channel grow or whatever the case may be, and you feel like it's perfect, then now you are doubting yourself and feeling like you need to be perfect to now step into what God has already called you to do. And now we're just sitting there delaying the process. We're sitting there stuck and feeling like we don't know what to do next because we're not ready. So perfectionism, that's number 4. And like I said, these are just 4 categories that I have like summed up for why you could be feeling stuck, and they're not so obvious. They're just like little things in the back of our head or our subconscious, or little tactics of the enemy to stop us from fully stepping into who God has created us to be, and to constantly feel stuck and feel like we don't know which way to go, when chances are God has already set in your heart. God has already told you, showed you, revealed to you, nudged you into what's next. And like I said, this could be in any form: relationship, business, your walk with God, personal life, whatever the case may be. If you feel like God has already given you an answer in this, then don't second guess, don't doubt, don't wait for the perfect time. Step into it fully when he has called you to do it. And if you feel like you are stuck in the sense of you don't feel like God has given you direction quite yet on this specific thing, I encourage you to continue to build in your walk with God. Continue to get in your word, pray, fast if you need to, worship, spend time in silence after your prayer or your worship to really try to hear and feel that voice inside of you, that Holy Spirit kick in and give you the answer, give you the direction. If you are out of alignment with God, you'll start to feel out of alignment with your purpose. So, sis, it is time to break free. It is time to step out of the fear, step out of the doubt, step out of feeling like you are stuck where you are. And this is something that is so close and personal to me, and I truly want to help other women get out of this sense of being stuck and really step into their calling. So I am in the process of finishing up an ebook called Stuck to Stepping Into Your Calling. And it's something that is truly, truly, truly going to help someone who is just ready to get out of this sense of being stuck and ready to truly step into what God has called you to do, boldly and confidently in what God has called you to do. So the ebook is almost finished. I don't know when you're watching this video, but check the description below to see if it's linked. It will be linked once it's finished. I will update the video description to put it in there. If you are watching this video currently, or just after it was posted, then it's probably not quite ready yet, but it will be within the next few days. So I truly encourage you to check that out. From stuck to stepping into your calling, and that is exactly what I want to help you do. As someone who has personally felt stuck for days and months and honestly years, to truly just stepping out on faith and stepping into what God has called me to do despite the fears, doubts, perfectionism, and just feeling like I'm not ready. Despite all of that, just stepping out in faith and walking into it and letting God do the rest. And I truly want to help other women do the same. So definitely check that out. I also have other resources, free Bible study journals, etc. on my site. All of that will be linked below. So definitely check it out. And yeah, girl, just let me know in the comments if any of this resonated with you. Let me know if there's a particular area or particular one of these categories that you feel like you struggle with. Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it. I'd love to help you out, pray for you, chat with you, whatever it is. So drop it below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for your girl. And also share this video with someone who needs to hear. So I am truly praying for you. I am praying that you step out into faith, that you listen to the Holy Spirit nudging you in the direction you should go, that you truly step confidently and boldly out into what God has called you to do and get out of this feeling of being stuck. Unstuck yourself, girl. I am praying for you. Let me know if you do have any specific prayer requests in the comments. I would love to pray for you. But thank you so much for watching, and until the next video, bye for now.